Number 5. You may not know that large companies typically outsource a lot of their call centers these days to India, which is why if you ever call customer service, you might get through to someone with a foreign accent. Well, in this case, the Indian citizens working in nearly a dozen call centers across Mumbai were trained to talk in American accents in order to carry out large-scale and specific scams on the American public without arousing suspicion. This scam involved calling American phone numbers and claiming to be from the IRS, threatening people that they owed thousands of dollars in back taxes, and that the police were literally heading over there right now. Rather than risk getting arrested, hundreds of people followed the specific and cryptic instructions given to them by the callers to avoid their fate. Though unfortunately, they often fell for it and ended up revealing their bank account details or even transferring the money to a random bank account themselves. People had anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000 stolen from them in this way. And the scam was discovered when Indian police raided at least 9 different locations and arrested upwards of 700 people for their involvement with their tricks. Luckily for the police, they sent a mole into the call centers to verify their suspicions, and the mole found out that they were recording all of their conversations, so the police managed to seize 851 hard drives, all full of recorded phone calls where we can hear them tricking people into giving away their hard-earned money. Perhaps shockingly of all, the actual callers weren't making that much money at all, with the richest of them earning around $1,000 a month, but the poorest only $150. So people in America and India were being exploited for profit, which is pretty screwed up. Number 4. Craigslist is a website famous for being risky. In fact, the Long Island serial killer, who is still at large, is also known as the Craigslist Ripper because of the fact they use Craigslist to hunt their victims. Along with the often unreliable Craigslist is eBay, the popular online auction site people are equally wary of. Craigslist actually has published on their website a list of advice and warnings to help people avoid scams. The first one of which is to always trust your instincts. There's also other ones like deal only with local people and never give away your financial information no matter how legit you think somebody is. Some of the most successful and lucrative scams on Craigslist involve professional criminals putting up fake advertisements for cheap New York City apartments, taking advantage of the incredibly competitive New York rental scene. Along with that are people selling fake cars and fake tickets to events. However, while a lot of Craigslist scams are run by professionals, eBay is the website where the scammers are bold and selfish, but also pretty ingenious when it comes to the tricks they pull on people looking for a bargain. So ingenious that it's almost hard to be mad at them. One good example is when a guy spent over $500 on a brand new Xbox One and received a low quality printed out picture of an Xbox One with FIFA 14 included. Similarly, one person bought a PS4 and got sent a cardboard box with a heavy rock in it instead. And perhaps my favorite is when somebody ordered an iPhone 7 and got mailed an iPhone 3 and an iPhone 4 and a fusion card from Yu-Gi-Oh! There's even a story I suspect is a scam itself of a guy claiming he bought a lion on eBay and ended up getting sent a large dog in a wig. Though I'm not too sure of the legitimacy of selling live animals on eBay. Number 3. Ever since the shake weight came out, exercise gadgets and just working out in general has been getting more and more ridiculous. I mean, for thousands of years up to the present, people have managed to stay in shape without having to embark upon complicated diets and calorie counting and fancy machines. But these days, people buy into any kind of quirky gimmick if it comes with the promise it'll help them lose weight and get ripped. So there were always bound to be people waiting to jump on these desires and make a ton of money. Surprisingly enough, these kinds of scams have been around since the 1920s at least, when the Federal Trade Commission stopped the sale of something called McGowan's Reducing Cream, which was alleged to dissolve away your excess fat. And to be honest, if that happened today, there would probably still be thousands of people buying into it. One of the most famous examples of one of these ridiculous products is the Ab Energizer, which is basically a large belt which you wear around your abdomen, which proceeds to send electric shocks into your muscles to apparently build up your abs and get rid of fat without you having to move. The company selling it had to fork out a huge $5 million in court settlements with the FTC when it was found out that their claims were completely fraudulent. Even workout schemes and diets are expensive and often bogus, and it seems like hard work and self-discipline are still the most reliable ways to achieve your dream body. At the very least, you'll definitely save yourself some money by not trying to cut corners when it comes to your health.
The secret is our advanced electromuscular stimulation, or EMS, a scientifically proven technology, FDA cleared and used by professional athletes, top physical therapists, and even NASA. EMS sets off a series of deep, comfortable abdominal contractions to stimulate the muscles in your abs without exercise.
It's like I'm doing crunches and I'm standing up. It's amazing.
Now you can transform your abs from tubby to toned, from saggy to sexy, from flabby to flat, quickly and easily.
Number 2. Phishing scams are one of the biggest types of scams you've almost definitely encountered before, and one of the cruelest in the way they prey on people, often posing as somebody in need or as your bank. They'll do anything to get login details for your personal accounts or even your bank account information so that they can clean you out for as much as you're worth. You've probably gotten dozens of emails before trying to convince you to log back in somewhere or saying your account on a different website has been hacked and you need to verify your account details. Unfortunately, these messages are often sophisticated, and so people often fall for them, with phishing scams even lurking on Twitter and in online ads as well as just emails. However, there's sometimes a funny side to this, especially when it comes to often mocked Nigerian email scams that are so popular with the criminals. One shining example shared around the internet was a message from the cousin of the very first African astronaut who ended up getting stranded in space after discovering a secret Soviet space station called Salyut 8T in 1989, and needed to crowdsource $3 million in order to get home. One scammer brought Game of Thrones to life when they posed as Daenerys and asked for $520 and some dragons so that she could get home. But possibly the most ridiculous was when one person who got an email from some lawyers saying they desperately needed her bank details so that they'd give her a large sum of money and legal winnings from a lawsuit against bad Nigerian phishing scams. You can't make this stuff up. Unless you're a Nigerian scammer, obviously. Number 1. It takes people a lot of courage to sign up for online dating websites because they get lonely enough to put themselves out there like that. And it takes some pretty selfish people to prey on their search for love by scamming them. But unfortunately, nasty people are on the internet in abundance and are always thinking of new ways to trick people into giving away their money. They go online and sign up to dating websites where they fool people and gain their trust enough that they eventually ask for money, and often their victim gives them it. One German woman reportedly gave away $18,000 to one of these people who immediately cut off all contact with her. The FBI reported that all the internet-based crimes, romance scams like this, are the most lucrative. They get 15,000 reports a year, with criminal profits reaching $230 million. And estimate that only 15% of all these digital offenses actually end up getting reported to the authorities because people get so embarrassed by what's happened. The victims of these schemes often end up emotionally destroyed along with being robbed, with one Texas woman contemplating suicide because she was so hurt by what happened. This woman ultimately ended up giving away more than $2 million just on her own to a man she had never met, who turned out to be a pair of Nigerian scammers who got 3 years in prison for their crimes. The FBI also claims that these criminals share details of their victims with each other on a sucker list so that they can keep being manipulated and mined for all the money they might have.